For more on this story, we can bring in our chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons. Rob, there are reports of fierce fighting in and around the city of Ghazni. What do we know exactly?
Yeah, well, last week we had fierce fighting to the north around the city of Kunduz. Taliban were in the outskirts of the city. They took a town on the border with Tajikistan, a key to the trade between Afghanistan and Tajikistan. They've advanced towards Mazar-e-Sharif, the main town in the north, as well, and now around Ghazni. It has to be said, this is not the first time that the Taliban have been in either Kunduz or in Ghazni, but the difference this time, I think, is the intensity of the attacks on those two towns, plus the fact that the Taliban are active throughout the country, claiming to have taken at least 50 districts in the last few weeks of fighting. The flip side of that for the Taliban is that there are signs that ordinary Afghans are joining militias to help the military in the fight against the Taliban. The military itself says they're quite capable of fighting back, will get organised, will provide resistance, and US intelligence reports that Kabul could fall by the end of this year are overstated.
You know, Rob, on Tuesday, in a rare news conference over in Kabul, the U.S. General Scott Miller, stationed in the country, said of the violence you're talking about, civil war is certainly a path that can be visualized. That should be a concern to the world. Given that, why are we rushing this pullout?
Well, you know, it's a complicated issue, isn't it, for the United States? They've been in Afghanistan for 20 years. There has been little improvement in the situation over the last few years. The status quo has remained, the same. The US is simply saying, look, it doesn't make any sense for us. It's not acceptable to continue just maintaining the status quo. We've been in the country 20 years. That's a lot of lives being lost, a lot of money being spent. We're not prepared to carry on doing that forever. It's time the Afghans took responsibility for their own future. I mean, that is the bottom line, I think. But at the same time, the United States doesn't want a repeat of the situation that led them to getting involved in Afghanistan in the first place with al-Qaeda. Nor does it want to see what happened in Iraq in 2011 after their withdrawal, which 3 years later, 2014, was followed by the Islamic State organization taking over enormous swathes of the country. So that is the US dilemma, but it's clear Washington has decided that this withdrawal is going to go ahead and at an accelerated pace. It has to be said, as you pointed out in the introduction, this could be over by the end of July.
We'll see what happens, Rob. Thank you very much for that, Rob Parsons there.